everybody. Welcome to the Unite event. I'm Archie Daniels, Chief Executive Officer and founder of Unite. I'm incredibly excited to welcome some of the team that's going to be joining us in Unite to make the life coaching service a reality, and the overall services in general moving forward in the future with all of our other services that we've got lined up. I can't wait to start this journey with the amazing team that we're building. Not everybody could join us today, unfortunately. Not everybody is available, but we've been blessed by Grace and Amy, and hopefully we'll also be joined by Katrina momentarily. So yeah, Amy, if you want to introduce yourself and just tell everybody a bit about who you are. And
Sure. I'm Amy McCae, Senior Life Coaching Specialist. I am thrilled to get to have this opportunity. I met Archie on LinkedIn and love that his mission and Unite's mission, and I'm honored to get to be a part of this and help support people that are struggling right now.
Grace?
Okay, hi. My name is Grace Ibrahima. I'm a coach. I'm also a driving instructor, so that's why you see me out and about, and I'm still on duty. And I have joined. I met Archie through the same way, LinkedIn, and I've joined as a senior consultant, and I can't wait to dive in and see what the future brings for me and for the team, and also for the company as a whole, on the best way forward. And yeah, we are all learning and learning from each other.
Absolutely. Thank you, Grace. So I think the first thing I want to sort of delve into is our life coaching service, which is launching this August. I suppose I should just announce now that I'm incredibly excited to announce today that we will be launching our life coaching service on the 17th of August. So just over 2 months. So we've got about 8 weeks until launch. Still lots and lots of stuff to do to build the necessary systems that are going to be, that are going to facilitate this massive endeavor. I know that from my point of view, this is a long time coming. I think that life coaching is sometimes overseen. It's not like taken as seriously as like, I don't know, psychotherapy. And whilst we will be offering therapies in the near future, I think life coaching is just as important, because therapy can feel quite clinical and it can feel quite institutional, and that's just the way that therapies normally tend to be. We're going to try and not make it as institutional as possible, but there's always going to be slivers of it here and there due to the sort of practice that it is. But I think with life coaching, there is that sort of more human, homely feel, if you want to call it that, or that warm feel, and that sort of understanding from a human point of view, rather than somebody who's got a degree who thinks they know everything, when the truth is that isn't the case. Like, yeah, it's great having a degree about the brain, but also having lived experiences is a massive asset, I think, to supporting people with challenging life events like TBIs. I mean, Amy, you're going to be one of our life coaches on this service. I mean, do you want to sort of delve into what you think is going to be important about the life coaching service to our TBI clients?
Sure. I feel therapy is very beneficial, and I have actually worked with therapists to do both, to be kind of cohesive, because they're kind of very different skill sets, like you mentioned. And I feel like I even had a client once who told me about his therapist, but wouldn't tell his therapist about his life coach. So there's a different kind of trust sometimes that evolves in that relationship. I always feel like therapy kind of talks about a lot of things where you're trying to maybe deal with the past and those sorts of things. And where life coaching is, I'm very much so, where are you right now, and how do we get to where you are, and like with the most ease and grace as possible? Where do you want to be? So we start like being very present, and then how do we get to where you actually want to be? And being able to, traumatic brain injury patients are dealing with even the simplest basic life skills that the rest of us take for granted. So being able to help support somebody in the things that like I've taken for granted, and in basic life skills, and getting back to having some sort of normalcy and being confident and clear in who they are and what they need to do in this moment in order to get back, pieces of their life so they feel whole and complete. again. I always start with core values. I feel like no matter what you're dealing with or struggling with, core values are something we always come back to. And if you can use those to guide your behaviors and decisions, everything from, trauma-based sort of things to CEOs that appear to be functioning, whatever, if we go back to the core values, that's always just a really good starting point and a good reminder. I don't think those change. Your whole life might change, but your values at heart, they might, be a little bit different, but for the most part, they stay pretty congruent. So that's where I like to start. I think coaching offers a different empathetic piece. I focus a lot on building emotional intelligence and learning to practice the pause to develop emotional regulation and make conscious choices. That's another piece that I feel is really important, because there's going to be a lot of difficult times and frustrating times. And if somebody that's struggling can pause and be like, okay, what's really going on here with me? What am I really upset about? So that's kind of where I focus.
Yes, absolutely. And, I think, I actually say, people with TBI, I mean, it's no secret I've talked about my TBI through multiple posts and stuff like that. And I think, and also on the website as well, it mentions it on there. And I think it is really important to also note that anybody with a TBI who is pushing forward, in my view, shows a level of maturity and emotional intelligence beyond any sort of person that isn't dealing with something as significant as that. Like, we all think that TBI survivors lack emotional intelligence, maybe due to emotional dysregulation and not, not being able to sort of like handle emotions the same way that they used to. But I strongly disagree with that sort of analogy, to be honest. Yeah. I think that TBI survivors are some of the strongest people in our society, and I actually think in some ways it makes us stronger, not weaker. And I think the people that we become in the end are stronger human beings, and people that can actually maybe contribute to society a lot more than people who haven't necessarily had to tackle those adversaries.
It's a different type of resilience, right? A whole different level of resilience that most people, fortunately, don't have to. Most people, a lot of people don't do. So when I talk about, like, I want people to develop in life coaching self-awareness so that they do know what they are capable of. I mean, that's the key. Like, what, like starting with values and like, what are you really capable of? I don't want anyone you can't discount a traumatic brain injury, but you also don't want to be limited by it. You want to take it and be like, okay, what are my superpowers now?
And I think it's important so I want to give this sort of like, just picture this. So has anybody seen Batman Begins? I mean, trust me, there is a reason for this. Anyone seen Batman Begins? It was made by Christopher Nolan, first in the Dark Knight trilogy. And but for Batman to become Batman, he had to lose his parents. He had to, fall in a cave full of bats. I don't know how much that helped him, but anyway, he had to. And then he had to go into the mountains in the middle of nowhere for years to find who he was. And I sort of see similarities, between that and who he becomes, from somebody who couldn't defend a fly to somebody who was, fighting for Gotham. But he became the person he became through his challenges and through his life experiences. And I think it's the same with TBI survivors. I just think that it is part of the process. And I think what makes the life coaching service so important is it's making them realize that, because I believe that will give them strength that they maybe haven't felt in a while. They've always had the strength, but giving them the realization that they've got that strength and being able to then lock in on that strength and grow from that strength even further. And I think that's what's going to make the life coaching service so special and so impactful.
Yeah, ideally, life coaching is you're not telling someone what to do. You're asking the right questions so they figure it out on their own.
Exactly.
Like, logically and intuitively, you should ask them and they get the aha. Oh, I am capable. Oh, I do know this. So ideally, that is a goal of a good life coach, is to ask the right questions so they are empowered on their own answer. That you're not giving them the answer. You're asking the questions. So
no, but by giving them that sort of giving those hints, you're helping them come to that realization.
Comes out. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's a beautiful
Right.
process when it's done.
is.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing when somebody's like, "Oh yeah, I got it, I get it."
I
Yeah.
agree. And I mean, Grace, obviously you're consulting with us on the life coaching program to make sure it is the best, the best it can be. I mean, from your perspective, what are the sort of impacts you're hoping that this service is going to have on our clients?
Well, I think this is how I see things. Apart from even the the brain trauma injuries a patient, I always believe that there's a lot. I've met a lot of people as well in my journey that they didn't even know that they needed a life coach, and they come to realize that they do need one. So now, and that can also transit to this type of patients as well. Sometimes I believe that there might be people that will not even realize that they need a coach or a life coach, only to realize later during this journey that, okay, I think I might be able to get some sort of help here, if you understand what I mean. From my experience, like I said earlier, I am a life coach. I'm also a driving instructor, and I have the opportunity to speak with people on a day-to-day basis. And majority of it is going to be more of a bespoke a consultation or coaching. Let me put it that way. In my view, as a consultant, I think we just have to look at everyone's situation. They may have something, they may have a common illness. Some people may have a common illness, but a different journey.
Yes.
So with that journey, I believe that we can tailor the, the consultation or the life coach session with individual. If you understand what I mean, depending on, without pushing anyone or without making them feel like they are they are different. I don't know if you understand what I mean. I don't know how to explain it better, but just to make sure that they are not different from anyone else, and that they are, how else can I put it? Sorry, I'm not in, I'm not in my environment. I'm outside. I'm a little distracted with everything going on. But just like whenever myself and yourself we have a meeting, what I always emphasize on and what I always believe in is just to tailor everyone according to their needs and according to their wants, and try to know exactly what they actually want for themselves, because some people know exactly what they want, and that is the difference between being just like Amy said, being a life coach and a consultant. Because most people know exactly what they want, but they want you to tell them, and we are not in the business of telling people what to do. We are in the business of helping them to find themselves, helping them to know more about themselves, what is inside of them, to help them to to pull it out of them, to help them to identify who they actually are, what they stand for, and what they want, how they want their life to move on going forward. You understand? So that is just it. Just
Very beautiful.
to assist, yeah, to assist them to to find what they already know inside of them, but they don't just know how to pull it out of themselves. you know, so we are there to guide. We're not there to tell anyone what to do or
Yeah.
how to live, but how to, you know, how to go, I mean, how to live their life going forward with what they already know, you know.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I think as I say, the life coaching service is going to be, it's quite different compared to a lot of the other services we're going to be offering, because I mean psychotherapy is a complete opposite. That very much is like sort of giving them a sort of guidance, and maybe you could say more of a telling approach rather than a hinting approach. And I think what makes Unite so special is that we are unifying lots of different areas of support in the long run. And I think by doing that, I think people will have multiple options on how they want to approach their injury healing journey. Because some people may have had clinical support and might not need any more clinical support, but have a lot of emotional issues going on, and will require maybe a bit of life coaching, but on top of that, a bit of therapy, you know. And by offering to both of those elements, and I think as well that obviously the life coaches will be working with the therapists from a communication point of view as well, to sort of have a full picture of, you know, what is the life coach expected to do, and what is the therapist expected to do, and making sure that there's no sort of crossing lines, so that they're getting the best out of their life coaching, and they're not getting therapy from the life coaching, and then that they're getting the best out of therapy and not getting life coaching out of therapy, because again, they're two totally separate services. And we don't want people, you know, because people will have to pay for these services. There's no secret about that. We don't want people paying for life coaching just to get therapy from it, and then people paying for therapy and getting therapy from that. Like, you're just paying for two forms of therapy. You want people to feel that the service is unique and it is offering a support that is a component, that is sort of a puzzle piece to the bigger puzzle, which is going to help rebuild your life. I also want to say, obviously, it's no secret that I am going on a massive adventure in the next 2 months, which I'm very nervous about. But when we talk about, you know, showcasing strength, resilience, determination, the strength to persevere through pain and suffering, I think that it is important at Unite that we don't just demonstrate that through our services, but we also demonstrate it as human beings. Because you know what they say, people, you know, the first person that leads by example, everybody else follows. And I do think you need people to lead by example, because people, you know, can look at services and get some services, but they also want to see people showing that strength in themselves. I think that's incredibly important. And that's why going on this trip in the next 2 months, 2 months in the Scottish Highlands, and then 2 months in sunny Utah in the States, which I'm looking forward to. I was in Utah a few months back, and it was amazing. It was very beautiful out there. I know, Amy, you've spoke about Utah before. It's a very beautiful state. And you know, I think for our American folk, that will have an impact, because it's like, you know, Unite is also bothered about impacting American clients, and making sure that American clients are understood and heard, and somebody is coming over to showcase that they, you know, that strength is possible, that resilience is possible, and that, you know, from that you can gain determination to change your life. And hopefully that will spread onto other survivors, so they can, you know, change their lives. And also the same for our British folk over here in Britain, you know, with the Scottish Highlands. And I think by going and doing, you know, approaching an endeavour like this, which is very intense. I don't know if anybody's been to the Scottish Highlands. I've only been once, but I can tell you the weather is absolutely crazy out there. It's always raining. The winds are horrendous, and yeah, the snow as well. Oh God, the snow can get really brutal out there. So, you know, it's like going, I don't think I'll have to worry about snow when I'm out there, because it'll be around the summertime. But anyway, the weather all year round can be pretty hectic. And I think, you know, showcasing somebody traversing through something like that, on top of running a business and on top of having a brain injury, I think that will inspire many survivors to better their lives. And that's why I think, you know, given that human element is super important. And I think by doing this, and we're showcasing it from a human level as much as a service level. I mean, did you have anything to add to that, Amy?
I think we have to, like, everyone enjoys a hero's journey out of a story, and we should all lead by example. I mean, if I was out there just talking a bunch of BS, no one wants to hire me if I don't actually do the deal. Like, I teach a lot of, I do some wellness coaching stuff as well, and we teach them fitness, nutrition, and meditation stuff. And if I'm not following that, then I'm a failure, you know? Like, I have to hold up to my own and show, and everybody wants to, we want to see somebody else win. It makes us realize that we can win too. So watching you on that journey will be very inspiring for all of us.
It's going to be very intense, but very rewarding as well. I do believe that.
Can we come?
Sorry?
It's okay.
Yeah, right? We want to come with you. We're ready for a change too.
I'll tell you, right, you won't be saying that when it's absolutely hammering it down and there's
Right.
and all the bloody grass is swamped. It's honestly, it can get pretty brutal out there.
Brutal.
Okay, so I think the next thing I sort of want to delve into is you know, who's going to be able to access this service, the life coaching service. Now, obviously, we have mentioned this on the odd post, but I think it's also important to mention here, which Amy and Grace are both aware. This is based off a referral system to begin with, so from clinics in particular. And the reason that we're rolling it out like that is to make sure that if there is any sort of issues that arise, that we can deal with it with a small cohort. And I think it's incredibly important to be transparent and honest about that, so people on the 17th don't come to our website and think, oh, where do I you know, sign up. It is a referral based system to begin with, and that's due to the fact that we only have a small cohort of life coaches. We've got 5 altogether, and also due to the fact that we are new, and being new, you have to approach this with delicacy to make sure that you provide the best service possible in the long run. Because, you know, I mean, everybody's heard this saying, quality over quantity, right? We want to help as many people out as possible, and in the long run, I know we're going to definitely do that. But before we open the floodgates, I say, you know, we have to make sure that it is the best service possible. Now, Amy, I mean, from your perspective, you know, do you have anything to add to that? You know, do you, like, with that approach, just so our viewers can understand why we might do that with a service like this?
Sure. Well, I feel like life coaches kind of get a bad rap because there are people that go take a weekend class and get a website and call themselves a life coach. So we don't want to be those people. We want to be the people that have the lived experience, that have years of practice, that come, you know, with some true whatever. And I always have my clients sign a form. Like, we have to be ethical and we have to be legal. We have to follow all the guidelines. And if we're not ethical and legal, then again, we failed to help the people we're trying to help. We've defeated the purpose. And in business and in life and in coaching, there's always that balance. I mean, we have to be empathetic and support people and do all these things and be well trained and well educated. So we need to have both skill sets, and then we also have the business piece, and that means being ethical and being legal. So we can't leave out one of those. We failed if we've left out any of those pieces.
Completely agree with you there, Grace.
Yeah, I think what resonates very well with me, and I'm sure it's going to resonate with a lot of people, is the fact that it's on referral basis. It makes it more authentic.
Yeah,
Legitimate, right? It's more legitimate.
Yeah, more
Yeah.
legitimate. Yeah, because the view of a lot of people, which is right, so correct me if I'm wrong, is as a life coach, it's not regulated. Anybody can just, you know, just like Amy said, anybody can just, you know, take an online course for 2-3 days, or read about it and then just go and do it without any experience, without any, you know, and just call themselves a life coach without having anything to bring to the table. But we all know that you know, it's more than that. We're talking about people's feelings. We're talking about people's, you know, emotions. We're talking about people's lives here. You know,
Yeah.
so for the fact that it's a referral basis, I mean, I think it's fantastic in my view, you know.
And this is something, I think I've spoken to one of the clinics that we are very close to at the moment, Cognitive FX. It's actually the clinic I went to start my healing journey. And I spoke to the CEO and operations director, the clinical director. There's multiple names for it. And hearing her story and hearing what it took to start Cognitive FX, her endeavors, that she's gone on to make it a reality, and the sort of individuals that she's dealt with, and to get a full perspective of PCS in particular, post-concussion syndrome, I think it is incredibly important to know that she's been working in this field like for 20 plus years. So, it's not just all of a sudden she's got Cognitive FX up and running, with her co-founders, and she's got all this knowledge. This is the same with Unite, right? To become what we want to become, we have to go through those learning experiences, just like she has, just like the other founders at that clinic have, and other clinics that I'm sure have dealt with, with similar journeys. And I think, when I look at Cognitive FX for in particular, I don't look necessarily at the services. I look at who's running the institution, and I'm trying to grasp, who is this person, what is this person's goals, and what do they want to bring to the brain injuries community. Okay, and when we open this service up, people be like, oh, well, you'll be interacting with multiple clinics, if it's referral. No, that's not the case. We are going to be very, very particular with who we interact with, and what clinics we decide to associate ourselves with. And why is that? Because it's character. It's who is running that clinic. What do they bring? What is their ambitions? What drives them to run a clinic like that, right? So for Cognitive FX, I've had pretty much confirmation from speaking to the clinical director, Dr. Alina K. Fong, multiple times, that she is genuine, that she does care, and that she does want to improve people's lives, and that she doesn't want people to feel that they're locked in a room, you know what I mean, which is what multiple people with PCS are told. Turn off all the lights, lay down, wait it out, have some, anti-headache medications. But we all know that is so outdated, that advice. And with Dr. Alina K. Fong, she has changed the viewpoint significantly. And again, that's what I want. They're the sort of individuals I want to be interacting with when it comes to this referral system. So, some clients may be like, well, it shouldn't just be about the clinic, and it should also be about the clients, you know what I mean? But the truth is, I don't want to be interacting with a clinic that has ill intention. It's as simple as that. You know what I mean? Unite is about transparency, honesty, and about providing the best services. If you interact with a service that is, a clinic or some other organization, institution, you know what I mean, that does not really meet your morals and does not really, align with your values and what you want to achieve as a institution, then that is not a good combination with interaction, because you've got massive conflict there, and I think that eventually would spread onto our clients. So I think it's also important to note that we'll be very particular with the clinics that we interact with, because we want to make sure that everybody we interact with and we partner with meets the same morals and values that we do, and has the same ambitions and goals, long-term goals, as we do, which I know Cognitive FX does. And I'm speaking to another clinic at the moment who I believe is on the same wavelength as us as well. So, you know, again, it's about making sure that you're interacting with the people that are going to align with your values, your ambitions, your your institutional goals, to provide the best outcomes for clients in the long run. I mean, Amy, obviously, you know, that obviously does impact how many clients we'll be getting potentially. So, I mean, from your viewpoint, do you see that as a good model? It's to make sure that, you know, the communication is top notch and that you're getting getting clients from reputable sources.
Oh, absolutely. In the life coaching industry, you know, I used to have a free consult on my website. I'll do a free consult with someone, especially someone that's I don't know what you say, prerequisite type client. People show up and you're not really sure what you're getting. And that can be good and it can be bad. But like I said in the beginning, like I want, one of the first things we talk about is values, right? So we want to be connected to the organizations that have the same values. That way we do get the clients that are aligned with what we're trying to do. And we know that it's a good fit, that they're people that we can actually help.
Yes, absolutely. Because I think as well, it's important to state that not everybody that gets referred to us will necessarily get the life coaching service. And why is that? Because we may determine that, you know, it's not the right service for them at the moment, that they need something, they need something different. You know, because again, the clients have to pay for this service. Okay. We want them to pay for a service that's actually going to have a positive impact on them and isn't going, you know, we're not in the business of just taking money, you know, and here you go. We want to make sure that the service provides the best results for that client. And if we believe that the service is not going to, it may not be that, you know, in 10 months time that it's the same case. It may be that it would benefit them in 10 months time, but at that moment it may be like, right, they need psychotherapy or they need more clinical work before
they can really get to the life coaching,
before they can benefit from it. And that's why what Unite's doing is so important, because eventually we will be able to do that. So when people do come to us, but we don't think this would work for you right now, and that would not just be from, you know, my perspective or my opinion. I want to just state that I am no doctor. I'm no doctor. I don't really have, you know, any sort of medical jurisdiction to make those calls. But with us having a massive cohort of specialists within neuropsychology, clinical psychology, neurology, all these different, you know, specialists consulting with us, you know, so we can get their opinions. We'll be able to get the best perspective on what would be the best service for that client. And I think that's also incredibly important to note. I know as well, when they get referred to us, you know, you'll have a consult with myself or somebody else from an administrative perspective with Unite, and then if we view you as a good fit, we'll then pass you on to Amy, or another life coach who will then you know, do their consultation and to see whether you two are a good fit, because it's also about, does the life coach and the client match each other?
Right, there's got to be synergy there, right? There's a different energy there. And it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a bad life coach or that the potential client's not ready. It's just the right coach. I hire a coach every year and I usually interview 3 before I decide, and I research some so that I can feel it out and decide. Different coaches, not just life coaches. Maybe it's a personal trainer, like whatever I hire, but I like to have a conversation and feel it out and decide which one is a better fit for me. So, and sometimes you know instantly that person's a good fit, and other times you don't. But having the opportunity to explore different life coaches and also to just the array of services that that Unite's going to offer is remarkable. And it's really what people need, is to be able to find that all in one place, be like, okay, what do I need? And not be so overwhelmed trying to research it online. That's what people do. They get on WebMD and try to solve their problems, and that's not going to work out very well. So having the odds aren't in their favor that that's going to give them all the tools that they need, that they have a place that they can go and be like, hey, there are some people that understand me, that want to help me, and that well, and all we need in coaching is somebody that's willing. I mean, just have to be willing to dig a little bit deeper and answer, you know, you don't always have to have the answer, but you have to be willing to consider that consider thinking about the question that the coach has asked.
I agree with that. And also I think it's also fair to it's also important to state that the consultations are free. So we don't want the clients paying for a consultation with somebody who they may not even click with. So that's why that 30-minute consultation with the life coach will also be very beneficial, because it will give proper insight whether that relationship would work to get the best results. So that's also important to state as well. I think I'm going to move on to some announcements now, exciting announcements. I think we've delved into our life coaching program quite a bit. There'll be more to announce, obviously, in the coming weeks and up to launch. So do stay tuned as we prepare for that. I'm incredibly excited. I know Amy's incredibly excited to get started, and Grace is incredibly excited to see the life coaching service in action. And I know that the other team members are. Jonathan Keefe in particular, he's designing the relevant systems needed to provide the best service possible. So that's also incredibly exciting, because some of it's being built from scratch, and I can't wait to share it. Talking about building services from scratch and digital stuff, I wanted to delve into Cerevia. I don't know if anybody seen a post around this, but Cerevia is an app that we aim to launch at the end of next year. And what this is going to be, basically, this is going to be the hub for everything. So this is going to be like the Xbox store for brain injury, I like to say. And it will have your life coaching services on there, your psychotherapy services, your occupational, cognitive, all those different things. They'll all be there for you to interact with. You'll have an account, and then all your specialists that are involved with your care, including your life coaches, will also be on there, and you'll be able to message them and arrange meetings on here as well. And you'll also be able to have your clinical rehabilitative therapies conducted through this as well, which is also going to be really cool. So this is really going to be client friendly. This is like the space for clients to be able to access the services. So obviously you'll be given an account once you are part of Unite. So it's not a case of anybody can download the app, and you know what I mean. You'll have there'll be an onboarding system, of course, but this really is about connection, a thorough communication to make sure that everybody is on the same page and that everybody is feeling listened to, and that we're giving the best results possible to the clients. So I just wanted to mention that Cerevia, which is incredibly exciting, and there'll be more to add around that as well in the future. I also had a few messages come through, particularly about our accountability service. Now I know that I've spoken to Grace about our accountability service quite a bit. I spoke to you, Amy, about it a few times. And the accountability service that we'll be offering, which will take a bit of time because of the legalities around something as big as that, and there's certain jurisdiction legislation you have to abide by, and all that sort of stuff to sort of operate more internationally. But the accountability service is pretty straightforward. It's basically going to be our own legal team based within Unite that will be able to support clients through legal law, through lawsuit cases. So, for instance, if an injury has been inflicted on the client, by another person. So I'm going to give an example. If somebody was whacked over the head with a baseball bat or something like that, and they've got a brain injury, they'll be able to utilize our service to file legal proceedings against that individual that caused that injury. It's the same with specialists as well, I must say, private and more public institutions, public funded institutions within the medical field. If you've got a let's say, for instance, a neuropsychologist that has misdiagnosed you, not done the thorough investigative work, and that misdiagnosis has led to worsening of symptoms, or potentially led to catastrophic results, in terms of emotional well-being. That is also something they'll be able to use our legal team for, is filing legal proceedings against individuals like that and the institutions that facilitate that sort of malpractice. I mean, Amy, I and Grace, I don't know if you guys wanted to add anything to that. I mean, obviously, I think it's quite a powerful service, and I think it's incredibly important. So because as well, a lot of people with brain injuries, they're not going to have the sort of funds to fund long term care with a brain injury. Brain injuries, it was roughly calculated throughout their entire life. There was this statistic thing done. 400,000, roughly around 400,000 for care overall to recover from a brain injury. Just think about how much that is, and like really realistically speaking,
Yeah,
nobody,
it's not realistic, right? It's not, and then if the
nobody
system is
ever
failing
actually,
them on top of
yeah,
it, that makes it that much worse. I mean, $400,000 and not actually solve the problem and make your day-to-day life humane and normal functioning. Yeah,
exactly,
that's not
exactly, and
ideal.
I completely agree, and that's why this legal service I think will be important, because that will significantly lower the financial burden, potentially. So I mean, Amy, is there anything you want to add to that service and what your viewpoint is on it?
I love it. Like I just said, like it's definitely, I feel like I personally had the medical system fail me in my 20s drastically. It cost me lots of money and lots of time and lots of misery. And I was fortunately able to find some support, but I had to go looking to and piece it all together. Um, and there wasn't a legal thing I had to deal with, but I've had some legal things come up. And it's best if you can have a team of people that you already know that are trusted and vetted, and well-versed and educated and trained in your specific problem. That makes life so much simpler. Especially if you're dealing with a strain of already, a traumatic brain injury and then the finances in your day-to-day life. You've got to find ways to make that as simple as possible for people, to make it, streamline everything you can so it's all there. And again, vetted and trusted. That's huge. That's such a difficult thing, especially if the medical system has failed them or the legal system has failed them, they're looking for some trust, right? I mean, betrayal is awful, especially if you're struggling
Yeah.
already. So we want to make sure that they have a system in place, legal system in place that won't fail them again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Grace, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I just agree totally to what Amy just said. I haven't been a victim of this before, but that doesn't mean that I haven't met people who have been a victim of the system, not only brain injury, but in other aspects of their medical life. I mean, I can only imagine it doesn't solve the problem. It just kind of like help them to, know that there's justice or there's somebody fighting for them when they can't fight for themselves. In my opinion, yeah, that's a very, very fantastic idea. It's a good product, to be honest, and I will say 100% on it, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I sort of as well. I wanted to also state this, that I don't want to be quite brutal now. I mean, Amy knows this, Grace knows this. I'm not exactly your typical CEO. If I have an issue, I will easily say it. I'm not going to beat around the bush. And this might surprise everybody, me saying it as bluntly as this, but the system is a fuck up. I have to say it like that. It is a massive fuck up. And people may be shocked. Oh my God, this guy's running a business. What is he doing with that profanity right now? Profanity language. But the truth is, you have to say it how it is. I think for far too long we've been beating around the bush, and we've not been tackling the issue head on. And I think there's multiple problems with brain injury care at the moment. It's fragmented. It's so spread out that the communication is non-existent, so people aren't on the same page. Secondly, it's run by governmental institutions, and anything run by governmental institutions, in my opinion, is set to fail. Regardless of your political stances, governments have to operate lots of different areas for the countries that they govern, that sometimes medicine doesn't always, or healthcare, whatever you want to call it, doesn't always fall into priorities for them. Especially if if money is the main focus. So I think, you know, being of independence away from governmental bureaucracy is a massive, massive, massive superpower. And I think that will significantly help us create the reality that we want to create for brain injury survivors, so they can get the care that they desperately need. You know, that there are people with, you know, just in this conversation, you know, there's people that would have taken their own life who have PCS just in the last hour of us having this conversation. And I think that should startle everybody, and that should not be allowed to happen. You know, and I think it is an absolute disgrace that institutions think that it is okay to belittle, to make people seem that they're crazy, to not give them adequate healthcare, especially in countries like the States, I must say, that pay extortionate amounts of money and get fuck all for it. So, you know, it's of my, you know, and it's the same with the NHS. I must say the NHS doesn't do much better either, because, you know, we do pay for the NHS. People pay national insurance and tax for the NHS out of their own pocket. And what do they get from it? Fuck all. So sorry for my profanity, but it has to be said. And you know, I hope people come to the realization that I am somebody that is driven by experience, personal experience from this, and also somebody that will fulfill a mission. You know, I sort of gave that Batman analogy earlier, right? And Batman is a determined guy. He has a mission, and he will complete that mission. Amy will tell you from the conversations that me and Amy have had. Grace will tell you from the conversations that me and Grace have had, that I am somebody that will make sure that this mission is fulfilled and people with brain injuries get the support that they need as soon as possible. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say everything's going to be available by the end of next year, because let's be realistic about this. We're looking at around 30 services within phase one of our project. I call it the Unite project, right? 30 services. To set up most of those services, it's going to take a while, especially because you've got to deal with regulatory boundaries and legal issues. So with that, takes time. But over the next 5-year period, I sort of say by 2030, 2031, most of those services will be operational. So in 5 years' time, people will have a very different reality to how they manage their care with brain injury and what is available to them in the not too distant future. I mean, Amy, you seem quite took back by that. I mean, do you have anything to add to that?
It's just amazing to consider that, and we obviously believe in you, or we wouldn't be here. So you've got us on. You know, you have us on board, obviously. And I love the plan. I love the that you're adding service by service, and you have a 5-year plan. Like you have it together. I know you feel like as a CEO, you're not a standard CEO or whatnot, but you are. Like, you have a plan, you have a structured plan, you have a vision, you have this plan to put it in, you've put together a team. It's good. It's going to be phenomenal. So you have it. Like, it's going to be absolutely amazing. And how blessed am I to get to be a part of it?
I know.
What are
I mean,
the thoughts?
this is quite an historic thing, I would actually say. I mean, I hope that eventually Unite will be the universal, like, international healthcare service for brain injury survivors. I do have one more announcement to make, and this is quite a big one. As we're coming to the end of our event, Amy doesn't know about this, nor does Grace know about this.
Oh.
So it's very exciting. So Grace and Amy will know that I have a major problem with the fact that there is only one clinic, in my opinion, that treats brain injuries of like PCS nature or second impact nature. And the fact that we don't have an fMRI configured into an FNCI, which stands for functional neurocognitive imaging, which looks at 2 components of the brain. It looks at blood flow, and it looks at neuron connectivity. We don't have a single one of those scanners in the UK. Now, in the United States, you have 4 of them. So whilst things are quite crappy over there, Amy, at least you've got some FNCIs.
No one can probably afford it, and insurance is going to decline it, and there'll be a whole bunch of red tape that's a bunch of effing you know what. But
yes.
we have them.
You do.
Wow.
And you do have a clinic. It might be expensive, but you do have a treatment option. Now, yes, that option is available to people in the Netherlands, in the UK, but it costs a fortune to fly over there, and then obviously it costs a lot of money to pay for the therapies and the healthcare that you get at that clinic. Now, I think Amy and Grace may know where I'm going with this. So after long consideration, and I want to say we're very much in the early days of this, so do not expect this to be up and running like within a few months. Like it's going to take time, but I have made the decision that Unite is going to build its own rehabilitative clinic. So we are going to build our own rehabilitative clinic in the United Kingdom, and we hope to have this up and operational by 2029. That's sort of the time frame that I've got in my head. The reason for that is because my health isn't perfect, and there's lots of financial elements that go into that. We're going to need investors. You know, we need a thorough plan to be in place for it to be operational. We need the training for the staff, so the training, you know, they know how to run like FNCI protocols. You know, people know how to run the particular therapies that are going to be needed. You know, they know what to look out for when it comes to looking at the functionality of the brain from an FNCI. There's lots of things that go into it to make sure that it is the best it can be. But I have decided that we are going to build our own clinic in the UK. It'll be closer to the Netherlands. It's basically next door. UK citizens, and there'll be something across the pond for people over here, because I think people deserve it. I don't think people should have to travel to the other end of the world to get treatment for a brain injury like this. I mean, it's already difficult enough for American citizens that have to cross states, you know what I mean, to have treatment for this. But just imagine what it's like for people that have to get on a long flight journey, you know, the hotel costs, you know, all that sort of stuff that comes into the equation. You know, it's such a massive financial commitment as well. So I think that people deserve something over here, and we're going to build our own independent clinic. I did originally want to bring Cognitive FX over to the UK, but after having discussions with them, it's not really on their schedule at the moment, and that's okay. That, like, they have their own business commitments and their own you know, processes, and what they're comfortable with they'll do, and what they're not comfortable with they won't do. You know, there was talk of potentially bringing it over to the Netherlands, but then COVID hit, and then it all sort of, like, you know, went to sleep again. So I'll be working very closely with Cognitive FX, because I think that they'll want to be a massive part of making this a reality. I really do, and I know they'll want to help in any way that they can. But I've decided to take the initiative of committing to getting this done. And by 2029, that's when we want to get this up and running. And I mean, you know, this is going to be amazing. And what we hope to do as well is we hope to have the Unite family all in this place. So it'll be, you know, so the clients who go to click can also interact with people that they'll interact with from a virtual standpoint as well. So that will also be very beneficial as well for some of our clients. So we've got like 4 minutes left before this is going to be cut off, because we're only given an hour by Teams. Thanks, Teams. But I mean, you know, Amy, did you want to give any closing statements quickly? Maybe
no, I want to come to the UK and visit that place. I want to hang out there. I can't wait to see that. I just want to say thank you.
I want to state this, that I will not be running this clinic because I'm not medically trained. I think it has to be run by somebody who is medically trained, to be honest. And I'll be in the States anyway. That my plans differ from that, but I am very committed to making it a reality from a business perspective, and that's what I'm going to be working on. Sorry, Amy, I cut you off there. Do you want to finish?
No. I just want to say thank you. I'm honored to get to be a part and sharing this, and I'm blessed, and I can't wait to see what we as a team can do. That's really important to me.
It's gonna be incredible. Grace?
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait either. Honestly speaking, I just can't wait. I'm very excited, and I'm very happy for myself.
Same. Happy for all of us, right?
It's gonna be
I'm happy
amazing.
for all of us, but you know,
It's gonna be
you
amazing.
know, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, and I'm sure it's gonna go fantastically well. I mean, we just have to keep an open mind and positive
We do,
mind as
and you
well.
know, and we're not oblivious to the fact that with something new, there's always going to be hurdles. There's always going to be
Yeah.
things that pop up. I'm not immune to shit going wrong. I mean, we've all got things like that occur, but it's about overcoming those hurdles and pushing on, and that's what Unite is all about.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to our viewers. I do apologize if there was a bit of heightened language, but I hope that was just, you know, you're able to see that we are passionate about what we stand for and what we want to create for the brain injury community. I'm very serious about it. I know Amy is very serious about it, and I know that Grace is. I'm sorry that Katrina couldn't make it. I don't know what's happened there, but I'm sure you'll meet Katrina at another point. And yeah, thank you all for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.